After class, your friends started talking about the teacher. あの先生は宿題が多くて大変だよ。That teacher gives us a lot of homework. It's gonna be tough. いい先生なんだけど、そういうところがちょっと。He's a good teacher, but そういうところ Wait. ところ isn't that place? What place is he talking about? The classroom? The teacher's desk? Well, actually, your friend is not talking about a physical place at all. そうだね。今のところ宿題は難しくないけど。Yes, the homework isn't difficult. 今のところ Hold on. ところ again. Does this mean the current place? Then another friend immediately responds. このコースをやめたところで他のコースも大変かもしれないし。Quit this course? Other course might be tough also? Wait, did he just say he quit? You weren't really keeping up with your friend's conversation, but to join in, you say, このコースをやめたの? Oh, did you quit this course? Your friends just stare at you blankly. Uh-oh, it seems you haven't been following the conversation very well. Embarrassed, you quickly change the subject. 昼ご飯行こう Let's go get lunch. But you can't stop thinking about ところ。そういうところがちょっと、このコースをやめたところで、今のところ。Until now, you've learned ところ as a place or an expression related to timing, but your Japanese friends are using it in ways that seem completely different. What's going on? The answer is that ところ has a much deeper meaning than just place or time. In everyday Japanese, ところ appears everywhere that textbooks often don't explain. In this video, you will discover some of the most common uses of ところ, so you can finally understand how Japanese people really use ところ in everyday conversation. The key idea behind ところ is not just place. It's a point in the area around that point. It can also describe both a physical location or more abstract point. It can even refer to a situation or circumstances surrounding a central point. It can also represent a point in time or a particular stage in a process. At first glance, it may seem like ところ has two different meanings, place and time, but these meanings are actually connected.In both cases, ところ refers to a point or an area surrounding a point, whether in space, time, or context. そういうところ literally means that kind of place, but it's usually used to refer to a person's character, habits, or behavior, whether positive or negative. Instead of そういうところ, you can also say ああいうところ or こういうところ。そう、ko and are demonstratives. For a more detailed explanation, please watch my other video on advanced demonstratives. Let's look at examples. サトシさんはよく宿題を忘れますが、そういうところが成績に響くんですよね。Satoshi often forgets to do his homework, and that's the kind of thing that affects his grade. Here, そういうところ refers to Satoshi's habit of forgetting his homework, and that habit is what is affecting his grade. Here's another example. 家に帰るとペットのポチが走ってきますが、こういうところが可愛いんですよ。As soon as I get home, my pet Pochi runs towards me, and that's what I find adorable. In this example, こういうところ is used instead of そういうところ, although either could be used. Here, こういうところ refers to Pochi's habit of running towards me whenever I get home, and that is a behavior I found adorable. Notice that ところ isn't referring to a place at all. It's referring to one particular aspect or characteristics of someone or something. So what do you think 今のところ means? Remember, we learned that ところ can refer to a point or a range in time and space. When we combine it with 今, meaning now, 今のところ means something like for now, so far, or at the moment. Let's look at some examples. 今のところ晴れています。It's sunny for now. Maybe the weather forecast says rain is coming later, but at this point, it's sunny. Here's another example. 今のところ日本の生活は楽しいです。So far, life in Japan is enjoyable. The speaker is saying that up to this point, they are enjoying life in Japan, although things could change in the future. So, 今のところ doesn't simply mean now. It refers to the current point in time and the situation surrounding that point, which is why it carries the nuance of so far or for now. Let's look at how ところ can be used when followed by different particles. 晩ご飯を食べていたところに母から電話がかかってきました。What do you think this means? It means while I was eating dinner, I got a phone call from my mother. When a situation is followed by ところに or ところへ, it highlights the exact moment when another event occurs. In many cases, に and へ are interchangeable in this pattern. Here's another example. 宿題が終わったところへ友達が遊びに来ました。Just as I finished my homework, my friends came to visit. So, ところに and ところへ are used to describe an event that happens at a specific moment, during, or immediately after another action or situation. Get ready for the next particle because it has two patterns that might surprise you. Take a look at this sentence. マラソンが終わったところで田中さんは倒れました。What do you think this means? It means Mr. Tanaka collapsed when the marathon ended. Here, ところで marks the break point or end point of situation before the subsequent event or action happens. The marathon ended, and right at that moment, Mr. Tanaka collapsed. Now, let's look at another sentence. マラソンに参加したところで絶対勝てないよ。At first glance, it looks almost the same. But does ところで still mark a point in time? No. Look at the second half of the sentence. 絶対勝てないよ。You definitely can't win. Instead of describing what actually happened, the speaker is marking a negative judgment about the hypothetical situation. So the sentence means even if you participate in the marathon, you definitely won't win. Here, ところで no longer marks a breaking point. Instead, it introduces an imagined situation that the speaker considers pointless or unlikely to change the outcome. This pattern is often used to express a cynical, pessimistic, or dismissive attitude, either towards yourself or someone else. Now, let's look at another particle. You are not sure when the last homework assignment is due, so you ask a friend. 友達に宿題の締め切りを聞いたところが昨日だったと分かりました。I asked my friend about the homework due date and I understood it was yesterday. Uh-oh, that's not the answer you were hoping for. Notice that ところ is followed by the particle が. As you already know, が often means but and introduces a contrast or an unexpected turn of events. When you asked your friend about the due date, you probably expected to hear a date in the future, but instead, you discovered that the deadline was yesterday. That's an unexpected result, and that's exactly the kind of situation where ところが is used. Now, let's compare that with an example without が。先生に宿題を忘れたと言ったところ、明日でいいと言われました。When I told my teacher that I forgot my homework, he told me to hand it in tomorrow. What a relief! In this sentence, ところ simply shows that one action led to the result or discovery. You told your teacher what happened, and as a result, you learned that handing it in tomorrow was okay. So the difference is ところが unexpected or surprising result, and ところ an action leads to a result, response, or discovery. One little particle can completely change the nuance. Let's do a quick quiz to see if you understood so far. Melanie often forgets promises, and that's troubling me. メラニーさんはよく約束を忘れるんですが、今のところが困っています or そういうところが困っています。Which one is the correct expression? If you need more time, please pause the video and think about it. The answer is そういうところ Why? Remember, そういうところ refers to someone's character or personality trait, while 今のところ means so far. Since this sentence is talking about Melanie's habits of forgetting promises, そういうところ is the correct choice. Let's try one more. この雑誌を買ったところに、で、が or nothing? あまり高くないよ means not that expensive. Which one is correct? If you need more time, please pause the video and think about it. The answer is で。Why? Look at the second sentence. あまり高くないよ. It's not talking about situation or event, especially because it isn't the past tense. Instead, it expresses the evaluation. It's not that expensive. Remember that ところで has two different uses. One of them has a meaning similar to even if, and it's followed by an evaluation or judgment. So the sentence means, even if you buy this magazine, it's not that expensive. Now, let's look at the particle を. This one has surprisingly many different uses. お忙しいところありがとうございました。Thank you for taking the time even though you were busy. Here, ところを refers to someone's situation or circumstance. In this example, the person was busy and you are expressing gratitude for the time they took to do something for you. When ところを follows a description of someone else's situation, it's often used as a polite expression before making a request, apologizing, or showing an appreciation. It acknowledges the other person's circumstances before you say what you want to say. Here's another example. 会議中のところよろしいですか? Would it be okay to interrupt you during your meeting? Here, you are making a request, but before doing so, you acknowledge the other person's situation. They are currently in a meeting. This is a very useful and polite expression that you will hear often in formal situations. But this is not the only way ところを is used. Let's look at another use of ところを. ところを is used when you are talking about an action or event that directly affects the situation. For example, 休んでいたところを上司に注意されました。When I was taking a break, I was warned by my supervisor. In this sentence, the situation of you taking a break is directly affected by your supervisor's warning. Because of this meaning, the verb after ところを is often in the passive form. Here's another example. 鳥が溺れていたところを助けました。I rescued a bird when it was drowning. In this sentence, the action of rescuing directly affects the situation of the bird drowning. Common verbs used after ところを to express this kind of direct intervention include 襲う to attack, 殴る to hit, 見つける to find. You will also frequently see passive verbs used in this pattern. But there is one more use of ところを and this one might surprise you. This use of ところを follows a clause that describes what is normally expected to happen, but instead an unexpected result occurs. The verb before ところを is usually in the non-past form. You may also see のところを in some expressions. Here's an example. 1時間で行けるところを3時間もかけて行きました。It should take 1 hour, but it took 3 hours. Notice that 1時間で行ける doesn't explicitly say should. However, being able to get there in 1 hour represents the expected outcome. The unexpected result is that the trip took 3 hours. Here's another example. 皿洗いは弟がやらなければいけないところを私がやることになりました。My younger brother is supposed to do the dishes, but it ended up being my chore. In this case, washing the dishes was originally my brother's responsibility, but things didn't go as expected, and I ended up taking over the chore. You will often see ところを used with expressions such as べきところを and はずのところを, both of which emphasize what was expected or supposed to happen. Finally, let's take a look at some commonly used conjunctions. ところで and ところが are two common conjunctions that are placed at the beginning of a sentence. ところで means by the way, while ところが means however or but. Let's take a look at examples. ところで今晩カラオケに行きませんか? By the way, why don't we go to karaoke this evening? You can use ところで when you want to change the subject and introduce a new topic into the conversation. Now, let's look at ところが。昨日東京に着いたんです。ところがホテルが閉まっていて焦りました。I arrived in Tokyo yesterday. However, the hotel was closed and I panicked. ところが introduces a result that is unexpected or contrary to what you would normally expect. In this example, after arriving in Tokyo, you would expect to be able to check into the hotel. Instead, the hotel was closed. Now that you've learned many different uses of ところ, let's go back to the beginning of the video and see if we can decipher what these sentences mean. Your friends were talking about the teacher. One of your friends said, あの先生は宿題が多くて大変だよ. That teacher gives us a lot of homework and it's going to be tough. Another friend replies, いい先生なんだけど、そういうところがちょっと. You were confused about そういうところ because you thought your friend was talking about a place. But now you know that そういうところ refers to an aspect of someone's personality, character, or behavior. Here, your friend is talking about the teacher's habit of giving a lot of homework. What he means is, he is a good teacher, but that's the kind of thing I don't really like about him. Then your friend says, そうだね、今のところ宿題は難しくないけど. Now you can figure out what 今のところ means. Here, 今のところ means so far. It describes the situation up to now. He's saying, yeah, so far the homework hasn't been difficult. Then another friend says, このコースをやめたところで他のコースも大変かもしれないし. Wait a minute. You notice たところで followed by his opinion that other courses might also be difficult. This is a different use of ところで. Here it means even if. He's saying, even if I quit this course, other courses might be difficult too. Notice that he is not actually quitting a course. He is only imagining a situation and saying that even if he did quit, the result might not be what he hopes for. Now that you understand what your friends were talking about and how ところ worked, you decide to join the conversation. You say, ところであのコースだけど一緒に宿題やらない? By the way, about that course, why don't we do the homework together? Here, ところで means by the way. It's used when you want to introduce a new topic. Then you add, 食べ終わったところで僕の家に来ない? Why don't you come to my place after we finish eating? Here, たところで is showing a break point in time when we finish eating. Your friend agrees and says, 美味しいケーキの売ってるところ知ってるから寄ってから行こう? Sure, I know a place that sells delicious cake, so let's stop by there before we go. Finally, ところ really means place again. Now you can understand all the different meanings of ところ and follow the conversation without getting confused. Let's quickly review what we covered in this video. First, let's look at some common expressions using ところ. 今のところ means for now or so far. そういうところ refers to a particular trait, characteristic, or aspect of someone's personality. ところで is a conjunction meaning by the way and is used to introduce a new topic. ところが is a conjunction meaning however or but. We've covered a lot of different sentence structures, so if needed, please feel free to pause the video and review them. One of the most surprising uses is たところで, which is followed by a negative judgment or evaluation and conveys a cynical or pessimistic tone. It's similar to saying even if in English. So the next time you hear ところ, don't immediately translate it as place. Ask yourself, what kind of point is this? A point in space, a point in time, or a point in a situation? Once you see that connection, the many uses of ところ become much easier to understand. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Turn on notifications so you never miss my new videos. You can also join my daily quizzes in the post section. Check out my Udemy courses for Japanese learning as well. Links are in the description below. Thank you for watching.